Hey everyone, it's Dylan and Charlie from the Black Forest Wood Company, and this week we have a client that has commissioned us to build a solid ash door with an H carved in the front of it, but they don't want it to look too much like an H, so when they sell the house, they're not going to be attached to that letter.
Marcy's our client here today. We have from Jane Vernon Design Studios. Jane, the principal designer, is here with us as well too. And I kind of thought starting out, okay Doug, let's just get started carving this detail. We're going to carve the letter H on one of the components of the front door of the home. And Doug started talking to me about some of the different details that would be involved here, and all of a sudden this quickly went above my pay scale as far as making decisions were concerned about some of the textures that are available. So we brought the clients in here today to discuss this with Doug.
My inclination is to leave the scallop marks.
I absolutely love the idea of showing texture and seeing that it's hand tooled.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing
agreed.
to show that it's been handcrafted. So I think we'd want to have something maybe a little bit more refined, maybe is the right word.
One consideration is to texture the surface, but leave the rest of the incising around it.
Right.
Relatively smooth.
Yes, yeah.
Right, as smooth as
Yeah.
Doug can carve it anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you wanted to do a texture, have it on this top here and then decide how you'd like to have that texture. A bit more to it than.
I love it.
Just stamping an H into it, for sure.
Yeah, when we threw that picture over to you, I had no idea what we were getting.
I'm not
Yeah.
surprised. Your work is amazing.
Excited to see it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
well, on to the next battle.
Yeah, I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Doug isn't that much of a social media guy, and he didn't film his process of carving the H into the panel. But we're starting off from that H carved right into the panel. So here you can see that center style with Doug's carving finished in there. And now we can go ahead and glue everything up into its final shape for the door. So this door is constructed from solid ash, like I already mentioned. It's one of 4 woods that we prefer to build our exterior doors from. So ash is one of them. Then we also use maple, cherry, and walnut. And we found over the years that they just have the best stability and workability characteristics, and they make for very good long-lasting doors when you have proper joinery. For our joinery, we've done stile and rail joinery that we cut on our CNC machine, and then all of that is further secured with solid wood dowels. Once we've got the door glued up in the clamps, we can wait for that to dry, and we can begin working on some of the header pieces that are going to go for the interior casing on this door. Different than most of our units, this client is having us fit this door into a pre-existing jamb, so we don't have to fully construct the solid wood jamb like we often do, but we are going to make some new pieces to case over that so that everything looks cohesive like one brand new unit. Once we've got all the components milled down to their final size, we can begin sanding everything up to 180 grit. Different from our tables where we sand to 320 grit, we purposely go with a lower grit for our doors because it allows for better penetration of the oil into the pores of the wood. There's kind of this fine line between your sanding grit and protection that you have to decide what's more important to you. On a table, we choose to sand higher because it allows for more clarity in the resin and just an overall better looking piece because it doesn't get exposed to the same kind of elements that an exterior door will. And because of that, we're only going to that 180 grit, and we're going to get much better penetration with the oil and hopefully a longer lasting finish. So once we've got everything sanded up, we can then begin fitting out for our hardware. And one tip that I can give for the hinge gains specifically is routing them deeper than you need to so that you can fit a shim behind your hinges. And what this allows you to do is it gives you future adjustability of the door should anything ever move. And oftentimes it's not even because of anything that you've done in the door construction, but if you're going into a new home, sometimes that framing settles in the first few months of home ownership, and you need to have a way to be able to fix that without planing anything off the edge of your door. So for example, if the door sags on the handle side, we just have to take that shim out from the top, put the hinge back in, and it's going to pull everything back into place the thickness of the shim that we had. Then we can begin working on the panels for this door, and like the stiles and rails, all of this is constructed from solid ash. And we're doing a raised profile, as you can see on here, and to secure the panels in place, we use a 2-sided self-adhesive tape, which has been controversial for people in the comments in the past, but it is the same kind of tape that's used in aircraft construction, so it forms a very strong permanent seal. Then once all of those components are sanded up, we can take everything upstairs and begin applying the oil finish that's going to protect these doors. For the oil finish, we actually like to use Osmo's UV oil. We find it does a very good job protecting the wood, and in our experience doing these oil doors for about the past 7 years now, we've had little to no callbacks. We've been building solid wood doors like this for 30 years, and originally we used primarily sprayed urethane finishes. And while they last maybe for the first 5 or 10 years, it's always inevitable that with UV exposure they begin to flake and peel. And the big downside of that is that it calls for a very costly repair. Typically you have to sand all of the finish off the door and then take it out of the client's home into the spray finish shop and have a new coating sprayed on the whole door, and then that's only going to last you another 5 or 10 years depending on the exposure. Whereas with the oil, if let's say the door gets dry after those 5 or 10 years, as opposed to stripping everything off and removing the door, you simply go at it with a Scotch-Brite to abrade the surface and clean off any debris, and then apply a new coat of oil on the surface, and you've got a door that looks brand new. Then once we've got all the finish applied on the door, we can call Dennis the locksmith to install the full mortise lock set into the edge of this door. So this is something that takes a special skill and specialized tools, and although we've been building these doors for so long, we've always called Dennis. He's been around since the beginning of our business, and he is an absolute specialist in installing lock sets. So while we could probably learn this skill and buy the tools to do it ourselves, we just leave it to Dennis because he's never let us down on any of this. And here's the controversial tape that I mentioned earlier. So that blue tape, it still has the seal on it, let's say. We peel off that blue layer and it exposes the adhesive. And to people who aren't familiar with this material, this seems like something that is a completely bad idea and is going to fail. But like I said, we've been building these doors for 30 years and this tape has never let us down. If anything, in extreme exposure, you might get cracking of the wood itself in a really, really bad scenario. But that tape lasts a really long time and forms a very permanent bond. And on the other side of the door, where we don't have the profile of the stile and rail to hold the panel in, we just nail in a solid wood molding, and this keeps everything in place and also allows you to remove that panel should you ever need to. As a final touch, we install what we call a drip edge on the bottom of the door, and it's actually for protection and longevity. That drip edge prevents any door that runs down the surface when there's rain from getting into the seal and underneath the door, and it causes it to drip off the front onto the angled threshold, which then drips onto the front porch. Then, as a final layer of protection, we're adding 2 coats of our marine sprayable ceramic. So this is specifically designed for exterior environments. Originally it was designed for use on boat hulls, so that's something that has a lot of exposure to really harsh environments with salt water. So by putting this on your exterior doors, it's going to allow all the water to run right off and just create a longer lasting finish. And then it's off to our client's home here in Calgary to complete the install.
All right, so we're here today, really lucky. It's going up to 11 degrees today or higher. It's already 9 degrees at 8 o'clock this morning. To install a door, we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're installing the door slab with a frame, and then we're going to be putting a trim and a brick mold around the side windows so it'll make it look like all one nice big unit. Unbelievably beautiful homes. Okay, so we're removing some of the previous jam extensions that were installed. The design plan has now come as well too. We're replacing all these little side jams and doing a header and casing and a divider between this pre-manufactured window and our door here, again, to make it look like a unified unit. Everything we're doing is in black, except for the door slab is, I believe, our Grenoble color.
See?
Going around the front like this.
spade.
Now, the one thing, you guys, and there was, okay.
They shake so much.
Now, pull the power button. Just turn it on and off. Because if it's not lit up,
Okay.
I was trying to shoot.
Slide. Tits. Okay?
Oh, we lost our shoes.
Yeah.
Look at that. That is super cool.
Now all these side pieces that go like this and this all come straight up from there.
Cool.
So that's got to be set level first. So it's an interesting challenge.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work.
And well, I knew I had my work cut out for me when I voted this, right? I said, "Wow, you guys, this is a lot of work, right?"
Oh, we like to grind everybody.
But
so
yeah,
not just
oh
you.
yeah, well, it's my pleasure. Right?
It's just the nature of,
Yeah,
you know.
you have to.
You gotta. But it looks great.
Oh, it will.
Yeah, it looks great, and Doug did a great job with the
Oh yeah.
carving.
Yeah. And I mean,
Super
obviously,
cool.
we still got a couple more days. There's still a lot of work left to do here.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I might need to clean the end by hand.
That's not.
My side is in.
All right, so it's been a long, full day here at the Huber Homes job site. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm bagged. This was a big job to get all the additional trim on the outside of the door. You'll see all that in detail. And the sun's going down. So we pretty well got 2 pieces of casing left to put on and clean up all the tools, and me and the boys will be out of here.
And finally, we can take a look at the finished product. To recap, we've constructed this door from solid ash and we've stained it using an Osmo stain in a brown color. And then we've attached a full mortise lock set into the edge of this door and paired it into our client's existing jamb. So we'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this door in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Psst.